So, thanks for coming out this morning. I was actually surprised there would be this many people interested in this topic, so that's a good thing. So, strategy and pacing, I think these are actually very, very, very important parts of CrossFit that you don't really get. You won't get it at your level 1, and most coaches won't sit down and talk with you about it. It's just because it's a very extensive topic, and it's different for everyone. So I will tell you, a couple days ago, Jodic asked me, what was your first CrossFit workout? When was it? And I remember it was late 2006. And I was at it was a small gym similar to like a Calypso Pier or something like that. The night before, my best friend had called me up and he's like, dude, you gotta try this CrossFit thing. And I said, well, what is it? And he's like, it's this new workout thing and it's really popular with military and fire departments. I said, okay. So I go to CrossFit.com and I look and I find a workout. It was like 5 rounds and 500-meter row and then something else. And I don't remember what the something else was. Because I go on to .com and I'm like, okay, what do I do for a 500-meter row? Because my gym didn't have a rower. So I look and it says 50 sumo deadlift high pulls with an empty bar. Now at the time I had been lifting weights, lifting heavy, trying to get as big and strong as I possibly could. So I was like, 20 kilo barbell, that's it? 50 sumo deadlift high pull? Okay, this CrossFit seems like it's for bitches, but so I go to the gym, I warm up, I'm like, all right, I can do like 10, 15, and I was like, not so bad. Get the stopwatch ready to go. I do all 50 unbroken. Put the bar down, and I was fucking angry because I was about to die. I could not breathe. I was just like, and I was so angry because my ego was so hurt, like, how could this be hard? It's an empty bar, and I've been lifting heavy, and this shouldn't be hard. I did, a little cardio, run on the treadmill, stuff like that. And it was a lesson that I didn't learn until later, that you never go all out in the very beginning. But I didn't know, so that's what I did. Threw the bar down, and I just fucking quit. And I said, fuck CrossFit, I'm going back to lifting heavy weights. And I did. For 2 more years, I stuck with just lifting, and then finally I went back to CrossFit. So that was a very, very valuable lesson that took a long time to get. Then after that, I started doing CrossFit from the main site, and I would just go onto their website, and I would go back into the history, look up workouts, and try them. So I was very much into experimenting with my body and seeing what different things would do to me. So for instance, there was 3 days in a row where I did 20 rounds of Cindy. So that's 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats. But the way I did it was day 1, I did 5 rounds of 20, 40, 60. Then day 2, 10 rounds of 10, 20, 30. And then day 3, 20 rounds of 5, 10, 15. So yes, that's a lot of volume. That's 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, 3 days in a row. 3 days in a row. I was surprised. I had a little bit of soreness, not too much. But what was really interesting was day 1, it took me about 45-ish minutes. Day 2, about 35 minutes. And then day 3, 23 and change, if I remember right. So what I learned just from doing that was that different rep schemes make a huge difference in your total time. Okay, it's exact same volume, same movements, but rep scheme was different. Okay, so that was one of the big lessons that I learned. So through this time of experimenting with myself, I learned a lot. Okay, so we're going to go over right now energy systems. Okay, this is just going to be a really, really brief thing. Right here is your ATP system. That is your short burst, like 10 seconds or less. Okay, that's your 100-meter sprint. Right here is your glycolytic pathway, and it peaks at about 60 seconds and ends at about 2 minutes. And then here is your aerobic pathway, which basically is what you're doing right now. Technically, is aerobics.
First one is ATP plus creatine.
Thank you, Professor.
This is not.
Nobody cares. So aerobic capacity is the long one, okay? That's what you do when you go running and all of that stuff, okay? What's that?
Or sit down.
That's what I said. What you're doing right now is technically
So very-
cardio. You're doing cardio.
So do you have to do cardio? Then?
Yes, yes.
I understand.
Amazing cardio, okay? But right here, this one, that's the big one, okay? That's your glycolytic pathway, and that's the most painful one. Now, you cannot know your pace or your strategy on your workouts if you've never been here or here, okay? Think of it like this. Bartek, our runner, right? He runs a 250-ish marathon, something like that. I don't know anything about running, but apparently that's fairly fast, yes? Right? If he has a coach and his coach tells him, okay, today run 20 kilometers at your 10K pace, but he doesn't know what his 10K pace is, he can't really do it, right? So we need to know what this feels like, the peak of our glycolytic system. You need to know what that feels like. And most of you do not. If you do not go as hard as you possibly can for 60 seconds to 2 minutes, you don't know what it feels like, okay? I learned that very first day when I went as hard as I could for 50 sumo deadlift high pulls and almost died. So I learned what that felt like. And then over the years, I learned more and more what it felt like. So when I tell you do 30 wall balls unbroken, it's not so much because I want you to do 30 wall balls unbroken. I want you to know how shitty it feels. Because then you'll know when you go to a workout and it has 30 wall balls in it, you'll know how your body's going to react to it, and then you can form your strategy based off of that. So you need to know your maximums. Okay, just like we try to find our 1 rep maxes and lifts, and then we base a lot of our strength off of percentages, it's the same thing with your workouts. So if you don't know your maxes, true maximum effort, then you can't really find your pace. Right? There's a coach, Ruby Nielsen, he does Outlaw CrossFit, and he coaches a lot of high-level CrossFit competitors. And he talked about, I was at one of his training camps, he talked about how when you're competing, you need to compete at about 70 to 80%. And then occasionally, we're going to bounce up a little higher and try to hit like 85, 90%, right? We're going to get close to our red line. And everybody understands what your red line is. Right? That's basically your max, right? It's the pace that you can maintain for about a minute, and then you die. So you need to know what your red line is. You need to know how it feels. And you need to know how it feels through the whole range of movements that we do. Okay? Because then when you're in the middle of the workout, you'll know like, okay, I'm getting close to my red line. Let me take a quick little break. So today we'll go over some of the lessons that I've learned over the years, and then we'll hit on some other topics that pertain to this stuff. So first of all, learn your pace. We just talked about that. Your red line. That's the other thing. So know your red line, know how it feels, and back off when you are getting close to it. But then also know when you can push a little bit harder. Okay? Time your rest. This is a really, really, really important one. Same coach, Ruby Nielsen, he breaks everything down to seconds, right? So, and when I come up with a lot of the time caps, that's what I will do. I'll look at each movement, and each movement on average takes a certain amount of time, and we multiply it by reps and rounds, and we figure out about how long it should take, and then we can add or decrease time for the time cap, depending on our goal for that workout. So Rudy will go through all the open WODs whenever they come out, and he will break it down by time, and they will experiment with different things to see how long it takes. For example, a couple years ago, they allowed box step-ups in a workout in the open. It was the first year they had done that. And so they timed their athletes from doing bounding box jumps to jump up, step down to step up, step down. And what they found is that step up, step down kept their heart rates much lower, and their times were just very, very, very small amount of difference. Just a little bit slower than the people that were bounding. But the people that were bounding were getting tired. Okay? So you need to do that. You need to know how long different movements take and then time your rest. Always, always time your rest. Because I promise you, you rest more than you think. I found that out when I videotaped one of my workouts, and I was like, holy shit, I'm spending a lot of time like this. And that's not good. So, you're resting a lot. Okay, one of my favorite workouts to figure out how much you rest is accumulate 10 minutes of kettlebell swings. So you stop the watch every time you rest. I had a lady in the US, we did that workout and it took her over 20 minutes. That means she rested longer than she actually worked. So it's a huge, huge thing that you really, really need to pay attention to. Keep your rest anywhere between 15 to 30 seconds, no more. If you're going longer than that, it's too much rest. A good friend of mine that owns an affiliate said years ago that your body is ready long before your mind. And it's 100% true. Once he said that to me, I was like, oh, you know what? Let me see it. It's totally true. It sucks. It hurts. But your body is ready. Another tip that I tell people is do 3 reps of your next movement before you rest. Sometimes in a workout, that's not a bad thing to do. So you finish, let's say, 10 pull-ups, and you got to go do something else, but you want to do this, don't. Try 3 reps. See if you can do it. Just play with different things and push yourself and see, maybe I can do more than I think, right? Don't rest so much. Okay? Try to rest a lot less. There was a guy, Kevin Simons, used a metronome for the 7 minutes of burpees. Now, I'm not saying everybody should bring a metronome to the gym, but it's another thing that you can use as part of your training. So a lot of people will come in and do some individual stuff. Play with it. Bring a metronome.
What's the metronome?
It's the little thing. Tick, tick, tick,
For music,
tick.
or piano?
And you can change the pace. Okay, so
So
Kevin...
you were doing burpee every time you tick?
No, he was doing parts of the burpee. So he put it at a certain pace, and it was drop down, up. And then at the time you had to jump and touch both hands 15 centimeters above your reach. And so that was the other part of his burpee. And he ended up being one of the top in the region. I think he did 130 plus burpees in 7 minutes. So it worked. It worked for him. Might not work for everybody, but it's a good idea. So whenever you come in and you want to test yourself, you want to do something, see how you feel with something, try it. You can download, there's a metronome app on your phone for sure. You can throw on some headphones and just try it. You can do it with thrusters, you can do it with burpees, wall balls probably you could do it. What's that?
Worse.
But if you do it and you change the pacing of the metronome, you might be able to find a pace that works for you that you can maintain for, let's say, 50 wall balls in a row. There was another guy at that training camp, Tyson is his name. He's a Canadian competitor, and he just, I looked at his blog and he had posted a video of him doing the workout that you guys just did, thrusters and burpees. And he did burpees like this. And this is a regional competitor. He went down like this, and then threw a leg up like that, like one leg at a time. And he said for him, it allowed him to go unbroken the whole time, and he did the workout like 11 something, and he was top 50 in his region. But you think like this is a regional competitor and he's doing burpees like I would do burpees when I'm exhausted. But he knew that it was going to be part of his pacing that would help him. So that was his strategy. But again, it's because he had tested himself and he knew his maxes before. He knew what it felt like to read them. Okay, so I want you to really remember that point. Let's see. Break down your watts. So thrusters. This was the one for me. At my level 1, I had to do a partner WOD, 100 thrusters, 100 pull-ups. And so I told my partner, okay, I'll do the first 25, and then you do 25, and then I'll do 25, and that's how we'll do it. So I go first, and I do 25 thrusters, and then he goes and he does 15. Hey, that's not cool. But I got back on there and I did 20. But I was absolutely wrecked after that. We got to the pull-ups, and I was doing singles. I couldn't breathe. And later on, what I realized was I wasn't breathing during my thrusters. And I see a lot of you doing that. What happens is you increase thoracic pressure when you hold your breath. It causes problems for you. Okay? You're increasing thoracic pressure, makes your heart work harder. Okay? And not only that, but you're not getting as much oxygen to your system as you should and as your body needs, so then your muscles are going to fatigue faster. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I didn't realize it for a very long time, but that's what I was doing. Because there was other guys that were smaller and weaker that could kill the thrusters in like Fran. They would just knock out 21, and I could do 21, but then I was smoked afterwards. And then I realized it was because I wasn't breathing. So always think about breathing when you're going. I will show you guys a video in a little bit, and you will be able to hear me breathe. And I want you to pay attention to the breathing, because in the very beginning of the video, I'm consciously thinking about slowing my breathing down, because I know that eventually I'm going to get to the point where I can't. Okay? Your oxygen demand will be higher than this can supply. Okay? So think about that. Let's see. Never go to failure unless it's like right at the end. Okay? Never go to failure on a movement, especially movements like push press, push-ups, handstand push-ups in particular. Okay? These movements, they're small muscles and they get tired really fast, and once you go to failure, you're basically fucked. Okay? You will not recover. I've seen it from games athletes all the way down to brand new people. It's what happens. If you watched the games a few years ago, Julie Fouché had it on her handstand push-ups. She was totally done. They were devastated.
Matt Fraser was the last game because of that.
Yeah.
Handstand push-ups. He couldn't do the last one for a couple of times.
If you go to failure or really close to it on those small muscle movements, it's really almost impossible to recover from that without taking a long rest, and then you basically lost. Right? So yeah, never go to failure. But again, in your practice, maybe like we were doing with Tabata, that's one of the reasons we were doing Tabata, was to feel what failure feels like, because you don't have enough time to recover to do as many reps as you did the first round, right? So if you do 10 or 15 push-ups the first round, you're probably not doing that same amount the second round, okay? Tabata also teaches your body to clear lactate faster, which is a really, really, really important thing. So everybody that was complaining about Tabata, it was there for a reason, right? Contrary to what you might think, it's not there just to make you feel horrible. It's there to make you better, okay? So yeah, never go all the way to failure. Pick the appropriate weight for the WOD. Okay?
Oh, really?
RX is not always right. Okay? If you're struggling and you're doing 1 or 2 rounds in a 7-8 minute AMRAP, it's too heavy. Okay? Know the reason for the WOD. Kind of try to figure it out, right? If we're doing intervals, 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, 1 minute on, 3 minutes off, something like that, the idea behind it is for you to go as hard as you possibly can. Now, if RX is going to be 70 kilo thrusters, and you're only going to be able to do 1 or 2 and then have to put the bar down, well, then it's pointless. Pick a weight that you can go and really, really tax yourself so that you get what? To your red line, okay? That's the whole point of intervals, is to get you to the point where you're just absolutely smoked, okay? So don't always look at RX and be like, well, I can probably do it, and then go and try it, and then we call it shit the bed. You shit yourself right there, okay? It's not good. It's pointless. It's not actually helping your training, okay? When you're doing 3 reps and it's 3 rounds, you've only completed, that's 9 reps. the volume is nothing. That's like a warm-up, right? So look at all of it and don't just be like, I'm going to do RX and do it, okay? Don't get so caught up in what's on the board. Let's see. Now, Dominica. Strategy. Your Miss Strategy, right? And you should always have a strategy. However, your strategy is different than mine. Dan's is different than Kuba's. Shimon's is different than Carolina's. Okay? Your strengths are different than mine. My weaknesses are different than yours. So my strategy will be completely different than yours. Okay? If we have a workout, 5 rounds, 400-meter run, and 12 thrusters that are heavy, I would not tell you to run really fast, but I would tell her to run really fast. Okay? So it's all individual, which is what this is all about, that you need to know yourself, you need to know how you feel, and you need to know how these movements make you feel so that you can come up with your strategy. Now we can talk about it, and you can tell me what you're thinking, and then we can kind of tweak it from there. But it's really an individual thing, okay? One example was, I was doing a workout, Kelly, 5 rounds, 400-meter run, 30 wall balls, 30 box jumps. I suck at running. I hate running, and I suck at it. And there was a bunch of people in that class that were really good at running. But I did not go out and chase them. Because there's 2 reasons. 1, I suck at running, and 2, you can't make up a lot of time on the run. If it's 400 meters or less, you will not be able to make up a lot of time. Unless the person is running really, really, really slow, and you're really fast. So I paced myself. I used the run to catch my breath. So run the 400 meters, they're all in front of me, we get in, I go unbroken wall balls and box jumps, and I go back out on the run. And I'm right there with them. They get a little further ahead, we get back, and I start to catch them. Because they start breaking their wall balls and their box jumps up. But I had saved myself on all the runs, and by the time we hit the 4th round, I had passed all of them. All because I saved myself on the run and was able to go unbroken on the wall balls and box jumps. The reason I did that was because I knew I was good at wall balls. I like wall balls. So, yeah. So doing 30 was like, no problem, okay. And then doing the box jumps, I wasn't fast at box jumps. I don't really care for box jumps. But I just went up, down. Metronome. Okay, that's all I did. So, for your daily question of what's the strategy, unfortunately, I can't give you the strategy. I can give you guys what I think would work best for most people, but it's not always going to be the same thing. Like when Reggie was here and he was giving strategy tips, right? I disagreed with some of them, and we talked about it. Because he based it more off of what he would do. Like there was one workout where he said, treat it as an EMOM. And unless you have a really good engine, doing that particular workout as an EMOM is going to fucking destroy you. So it wasn't going to work for everybody. And that's kind of the thing. So if you have questions, ask them, but you need to come up with your strategy because you need to know yourself. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? That it's really, really individual. Kuba runs like a gazelle, but he's not as strong as Yanda.
I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
So it's different strategies. Yandre runs like a ice wagon. Right? So that's the thing. It's going to be different. You killed the workout yesterday. I saw you had a very good time. And I think if he had done it, he wouldn't have come close. So yeah, so it's all individual. Let's see. And then one of my favorite things is that it's just math. Okay? How many people in the middle of a 20-minute AMRAP have said this to themselves? Quit for much. This sucks. Yes? You say, this sucks. I don't want to do this. God, this is horrible, right? We have a lot of negative self-talk during the workouts. And I promise you, when you stop that, the workouts will not suck as much. Right? I read a thing years ago that when you feel like shit during the workout, just say yes. That's it. Yep, just say yes. And I thought, come on. But sure enough, that day, our coach liked to program a lot of running. So again, as I said, I hate running. And I'm in the middle of a 400-meter run, and it's like third, fourth round, and I'm smoked. And I just started saying yes. In my head. I'm not out loud. Yes. So I'm just, yes, okay? And it really started to get better. It did. I felt better. It wasn't as hard. It didn't suck as much. So try that. Try being more positive during your workout and not negative. It does make a difference. Okay? Equipment. Where you put your equipment, I will tell you, it does not matter. Okay? Everybody wants to have their bar right next to the pull-up bar, right next to where they're doing wall balls. Okay? Unless you are going unbroken, it doesn't matter. Okay? The other thing is, tactically, it's smarter to have your bar over here when you have to do pull-ups down there. Why? Anybody got a guess?
Because you can make a rest when you're working.
Boom! Exactly. Okay? Use that transition time as your rest. Okay? It's going to take you 10, 15 seconds to walk there. As you walk, it's not a race. Okay? Walk over there. Slow your heart rate down as much as you can with deep breathing. Get up on the pull-up bar and do your pull-ups. I learned this from a friend of mine that was competing in regionals, and it was the first year they did the hundreds workout. 100 pull-ups, 100 kettlebell swings, 100 double unders, 100 overhead squats. Okay? Absolutely horrible, horrible workout. 25-minute time cap.
You can break it.
What's that?
You can break it.
Nope. 100 pull-ups, 100 kettlebell swings, 100 double unders, overhead squats. Yeah, you had to go straight through. So this guy, he's probably about, I don't know how tall that is in centimeters, but he's about 5'7", and about 80 kilos.
65.
So 165 centimeters.
170.
Okay, so he was, phenomenal engine, really good CrossFitter. Obviously, he's at regionals. In this regional, he was very close to making the podium to go to the games. So the hundreds workout comes up, and I watched him do pull-ups in I think it was 3 or 4 sets. He does 100. It was ridiculous. I was like, man, he's doing really good. Then he gets to the kettlebell swings, not so good. The guys were ahead of him. So I think his heat was 7, 8 guys, and he was kind of second to last. And so he gets to, finishing his kettlebell swings, and there's guys that are on their double unders, getting close to finishing their double unders. And I'm like, come on, man, hurry up, let's go. He gets the double unders, 100 unbroken. Wow, that was impressive. And he caught almost everyone. There was a couple guys that were on their overhead squats, but he caught almost everybody that was in front of him. But then he gets to the overhead squats, and he's doing his set of, 10, 15. He puts the bar down. He's walking over here to the shop. And I'm in the stands just losing my mind. Jeff, hurry up. Come on, you got to catch these guys. And I'm watching the clock because I was like, there's no way he's making the time cap. Because it's getting close. He keeps doing his overhead squats. He keeps walking over, chopping up. And it's killing me. He finished in 24 minutes and 58, 59 seconds. He finished under the time cap, but I was 100% certain that he wouldn't make it. So I went up to him after the event. I said, congratulations, nice job. And I was like, you were killing me with all of your rests and how you were walking so slow. And I was just I was stressed for you. And he's like, yeah. He said, that's a long workout. It's 25-minute time cap. He said, it's 100 reps of all those things. I know it's going to be hard and I'm going to be dying. So he's like, it's not a race. It's a marathon, not a sprint. He's like, so I wasn't going to sit there and run over, get chalk, and then run back and do it. He's like, I was using that as my rest, and then he'd walk back and do it. And I didn't understand it while he was doing it, but after he explained it, it made a lot of sense to me. So when I see everybody that wants to be, like, they use all their stuff, don't do it. Really, it's effort that you don't need to put into it. Don't worry about it, because nobody goes unbroken. Okay? Unless it's like a 2 or 3 minute WOD, you're not going unbroken, so don't worry about it. Use your equipment placement as part of your strategy. Okay? And yes, back to the math part. Yeah, it is just math. So we were talking about know each movement, how long it takes you, and another thing you can do mentally. This really helped me was I didn't think about how shitty I felt. I just thought about the numbers, and that was it. So I would look at it as like, if I'm doing, we'll even say Murph, I'd be like, okay, 100 pull-ups, I'll start off with 10, and then I'll do sets of 5 as long as I can, and then 3. And so then, as I'm doing it, all I'm thinking is numbers. 1, 2, 3, right? And thinking about the math of it. If you put your mind on something else other than how shitty you feel, it helps, right? And the other thing you can do is look around. Everybody else feels shitty too, right? So if you look at everybody else and be like, hey, they feel the same way I do and they're still going, I can do this. Use whatever you can to kind of lift yourself up, especially during those long grinder walks, right? Always start slow unless it's a WOD that's less than 4 minutes, right? Have I told any of you guys the old bull, young bull story? I know Dan knows this. Okay, there's 2 bulls up on top of the hill. They're looking down into the valley on a herd of female cows, right? And the young bull says, let's go down there and fuck one of those cows. And the old bull says, the young bull's like, let's run down there and just nail them, right? Old bull says, let's walk down and fuck them all. Right? Be the old bull during your workouts. If it's over 4 minutes, be the old bull. Go slow. Find a nice steady pace and do that. Do not go out of the gate hard, because I guarantee you, it will hurt. It will hurt a lot, and your performance will be here instead of here. Right? Always, with your pace, keep it at about, there's a thing called PRE. It's perceived rate of exertion. Okay? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being what you are right now, 10 being maximum effort in something. Okay? Keep it at a 7 or 8, occasionally up to like 8.5, 9. Right? If you keep that in your mind, like, okay, I feel like I'm at a 7 or 8, keep moving steadily. Right? If you start to kind of creep up a bit, back it off, slow down, take a few breaths, and then keep yourself at a 7 or 8. Okay? When you look at it like that, it will help you to last longer and be more steady. Right? Because most of these workouts, it's the person who's most consistent with continually moving that performs the best, and not the guy that does a whole bunch in the beginning and then peters out. Because we get back to this energy system stuff here. This is peaking at 1 minute, and you're down about 2-3 minutes at the most here. Okay? And then at that point, it's mostly your aerobic system that is kicking in. Right? All 3 systems work at the same time. But your ATP will go out after about 10 seconds, and then you're going to be mostly in your glycolytic pathway, and then after a few minutes that kind of peters out a little bit, and then now you're into your aerobic capacity. Okay? One thing that everybody can do to help their aerobic capacity is run. You want to have a nice foundation for your aerobic capacity, and running is probably the most efficient at that. Right? It sucks, Unless you have legs that are 8 feet long and you love running, right? Then it's not so bad. Or if you have something kind of wrong in your head, and just like running. But it's really good. I read an article about basically treating your training as a pyramid, right? So the foundation of your pyramid, it determines how big the top is, right? So if your pyramid at the bottom is big, then at the top it's going to be bigger than if your foundation is small. Well, if you don't have a good aerobic capacity, then no matter how hard you train, this is not going to be as good. So all your glycolytic pathway work is not going to be as good. I've seen it for years. People that run always have a better engine in CrossFit than people that don't. Which is why every top competitor right now is training with Chris Hinshaw, who was an Ironman triathlete in the 80s, and now he's the endurance coach for basically all your top CrossFit athletes. Because all the games athletes have seen how long some of the workouts can be, and that they die in those. The Froning died in the 333 a couple years ago. Who was it? Tara Webb almost died last year.
And Tori Duffy died.
She did die. Yeah. So it's you want to have a nice foundation for your aerobic training, and the best way is running. So if you want to take a rest day from the gym, go run. And go run for 30 plus minutes. It's also a nice way to find your pace, right? So these two things, your aerobic and your ATP, are kind of natural things for you to find. All right? So you go out jogging, everybody will settle into a pace that feels comfortable, right? Most people are not going out for a 30-minute run and sprinting in the beginning and then walking at the end. They're just picking a pace that feels good. The ATP, if a dog scares the shit out of you and is chasing you, it's very easy to sprint as fast as you possibly can. Okay? But when we get into that 1 to 2 minute time domain, that's the part where it's very uncomfortable and scary. Okay? Who has done true max effort 400 meter sprints? Okay. How does it feel?
Well, you get tired.
Obviously. If you do a true max effort 400, most 400 meter runners will tell you it's the absolute worst event in track and field.
I've done 500 meter row sprint, and it's very close to dying.
Yes. 500 meter row is another one. Okay? Because you're right in that sweet spot of 1 to 2 minutes. Okay? The world record that I've seen on a 500 meter row is minute 12, which is insanely fast.
I've done it at 30.
Yeah. And you felt like garbage, yeah? Same way I felt when I did my first 30-second interval on the Airdyne.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah. That was awful, okay? But you need to feel that in order to kind of know where your glycolytic max effort is, okay? Know your strengths and weaknesses, okay? That's the other thing. Know what you're good at and what. Be honest with yourself about what you're not good at. Right? Don't be like, oh, I'm pretty good at handstand push-ups or pull-ups or whatever, and you're really kind of average. Just be honest with it. You know, honest self-evaluation is really, really important in this. So let me think of an example for a workout. Diane. No, that's not a very good one. Oh, Elizabeth. True Elizabeth is squat cleans and ring dips, 21:15:9. I don't care who you are, the squat cleans are horrible, and they crush your cardio immediately. But like for me, 60 kilos is not so bad, but squat cleans, it's awful. So I would immediately break up the first round of 21 into 777. Then the ring dips, I would just push through and do as many as I could to get back to the cleans because I'm decent at the cleans. That's how I would do it because the cleans are a strength for me. Ring dips are not. You are better at ring dips. The 60 kilo squat cleans.
Yeah, this is good.
So for you, the strategy might be different. So that's kind of an example of knowing your strengths and weaknesses and using that to attack the workout. Like the example I gave earlier, I suck at running, but I was good at wall balls and I was average at box jumps. So that's how I came up with my strategy. So use your honest self-evaluation. Now we get to two of my favorite topics. Efficiency of movement. Okay? Efficiency of movement is doing things that make sense. Okay? Does this look familiar? Yes. Okay? That is inefficient movement. Why is it inefficient movement? Because when you receive the barbell on your shoulders, 99% of you will dip to receive it, which is correct. But does this not look like our position to start our push press? What you have right here is stored energy. Okay, you have stretch reflex cycle of your muscles, and you're here, they have energy that is ready to be used. But when you just stand up, that energy is gone. Okay? So now you have to re-dip and go again. So cycle your push presses. Cycle your jerks. The jerks are a little more difficult to do because it's a lot of dipping, but it's something that you really need to work on and do it. Okay? It's very efficient. Same with your thrusters. Don't receive the bar on your shoulders or your thrusters and then go and squat. As it's coming down, start squatting, receive it about in the dip position, and then continue down on your squat. Bounce out of the bottom. Okay? This is one of the times I advocate bouncing because it helps you come out of the bottom. Okay? So take advantage of the stretch shortening cycle of your legs in the bottom position. Okay? So cycle your movements. Go directly into a press from a clean. So if you have clean and jerks, don't clean it. Stand up and then jerk it. Clean it to here in a good power clean position and then go straight into it. Again, stored energy, use it. Do squat cleans or squat snatches for the first rep of your front squats or your overhead squats. It's a little more difficult because the squat snatch is really difficult for people to get. I understand that. But it's something to try. Okay? It's, again, efficient. If you go and you power snatch it, and then it's time and energy. Right? So be efficient with those movements. My favorite, the wall ball. I saw you do it last night. He's going for his first rep of the wall ball. He picks it up, holds it here, and throws it up against the wall.
No rep.
Completely pointless. 0 points for the workout. And it's energy expended. Right? Nobody wants to do more work than they have to. So don't. When you go to pick up your ball, squat all the way down, pick it up, and go straight into your first ball. Okay? Again, efficiency of movement. Your shoulder to overhead. A lot of people I see rest in the overhead position. It's, wow, one of the most inefficient things you can do. Do not rest overhead. Just, you press out to a good position, bring it back down, and start again. Okay? Don't hold things like thrusters. I've seen people hold it and then bring it down. Don't do it. It's more energy that you're using that you're not getting any benefit from. Okay? And then my favorite, integrity of movement. Integrity of movement is doing movements perfectly every single time. Full range of motion. okay? When I tell you to lock your legs out on a push press or a thruster, and you don't do it, you're wasting your time and you're insulting me. If I tell you to do that, it's because I want you to be better, okay? It's for you. When I tell you to stand all the way up on a box, don't do it for one rep and then go right back to. Okay? This is not a box jump. When you land and you step off like this and you never open your hips all the way, that is a no rep. Practice like you play. Because when the Open happens in February this year, and we get you to do it, part of it is you get a judge. Okay? And your judge's job is to no rep you if you do it incorrectly. You're going to get frustrated. When you get no reps, you are going to get pissed off and angry. And it's nobody's fault but your own because you didn't practice like you play. Okay? Practice like you play. It will be hugely beneficial for you. If you throw the ball and it doesn't go above the bottom of the delta, it's a no rep. So don't count it. Because I promise you, when you have that judge and you go below and they say no rep, the first one you're going to be like, ah, shit. And then the second, the third, the fourth, you're going to get angry. And then your mind is on something else, and then you're not really competing at that point. You're just fighting with yourself. Right? So always, always, always have integrity of movement. Maintain discipline in that. Okay? If I tell you to squat lower, squat lower. I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm not picking on you. Right? It's for your benefit. So yes, it might hurt a little bit more. You got to go all the way down. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But when you do it more and more, your body gets used to it. You get used to it. And then when you go and you have an event, because people like to compete even if it's in small local events, you'll be ready for it. Right? If you practice full range of motion every time you train, you will be ready for it. Right? So always, 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 always full range of motion. And then lastly, the last 1 to 3 minutes of longer workouts. I've noticed a lot of this with people is, I know you hear me count out how much time you have left. That's really for you, right? That's for you to know where you're at, how you feel, and then you can change your strategy as you go. Maybe you're 10 minutes into a 15-minute AMRAP, and you feel pretty good. And I say, you got 5 minutes left, and you say, okay. I feel like I'm only at like maybe a 7, so I'm going to turn it up a notch, and I'm going to try to hit 8 and start bouncing off of the 9 every now and then. Okay? So you can change your strategy based off of how you feel and where you're at in the workout. Because maybe you come up with your strategy for the workout, and then during it, you came up with a bad strategy because it was too easy. Right? So then make it more difficult. So the last 1 to 3 minutes, go hard. It does not matter. You turn it up and you just go. Okay? Because you rest when it's over. You're done. Okay? There is no more after that. So go hard during that time. I had a funny incident. It was the first year of the Open, and it was the second workout, and it was 15-minute AMRAP, 9 deadlifts, 12 push-ups, 15 box jumps. And I had set in my mind it was like 7 or 8 rounds. I can't remember what it was. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And my best friend was the guy with the clock. So he had the stopwatch, and 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, boom. So I'm doing the workout. And he's giving me time references every few minutes. And he says, you got 1 minute left. I said, okay, that's fucking it. Boom, turn it up, and I just go. And I'm doing box jumps. And it's only 15 box jumps. And it's going on forever. I was like, man, this is the longest fucking minute ever. And I get back to the deadlifts, and I'm going through, I get the push-ups, and I'm getting back to the box jumps, and he's like, I got good news, you got 1 minute left. And I was beaten because I had programmed in my mind, I have 1 minute left, so I'm going to go as hard as I can for that last minute. And so I hit my red line. And when he told me that, I literally collapsed on the box and I was like, no! No! I have video of it too. And I was just like, no, no way, no. He's like, come on, go. And it took me probably at least 15, 20 seconds before I actually could mentally get myself ready to go back to work. So that's my funny story for the last 1 minute. But that was because I had set in my mind that I'm going to go balls out for this last bit, try to get as many reps as I can. Do that, okay? If you're sitting at 7, 8 for 10, 12 minutes, there's no reason that for the last few minutes you can't bump up to 9 and even come close to 10, okay? There's no reason that you can't. It's no different than running and then the last 200 meters you sprint, right? There's no difference. You see it all the time in running events. People do it. They call it the kick, at the end. These workouts are the same way. Don't let your mind beat you and be like, oh God, thank God it's only 1 minute left. And then rest. When I see people rest when I say there's 1 minute left, I want to kill myself. It really is like, it's the most irritating thing ever. Because you have 1 minute left and then you're done. And you're resting. Or resting 60 seconds into a workout also kills you. Don't rest 60 seconds into a workout. That means you started off too fast. Okay?